In an age where shooting digital is more convenient, faster, more accurate, and arguably better quality, is there any rational reason to still shoot film? Is the resurgence of analog photography just nostalgia, or is there more to it? To try and find an answer to all these questions, let me tell you a little bit about my own experience. I started shooting film back in 2010. It was the good old days. Back then, I could buy 5 packs of Kodak Portra 400 in 120 for 35 euros. And some of my favorite film stock hadn't been discontinued yet. So I guess you could call me a trendsetter. Or old. I guess you could call me old. Of course, being a child from the 80s, I did grow up with film photography. For instance, here I am looking all cute way back then. But then, when I was going to college and I was actually getting into photography, it was not the analog version that interested me. Dark rooms were shutting down left and right, and nobody in their right sense of mind would still shoot film photography. But then in 2010, my boyfriend Christophe introduced me to this camera. The Mamiya C33. A camera manufactured in 1965 with 2 lenses, a bellows, and a waist-level viewfinder. The first time trying this camera, Christophe and I went to a park and I took some black and white portraits of him using a roll of HP5. This camera couldn't be further from any digital camera I was used to at the time. But there was definitely something about it that intrigued me. I remember finding it a bit tricky to work with, as what you see in the camera is actually reversed. Left is right and right is left, so it was quite an experience. But then, when I got the photos back from the lab, I was instantly in love. And I asked more people to pose for me, telling them I started shooting film and it's all new to me, so the photos might not turn out. But they did turn out. And I've been using this camera ever since. Although if you watch this video, or is it here, you will see that it's not always roses and butterflies. So what is it that I found shooting this old film camera that I couldn't find shooting digital? First of all, there is something about holding photos or negatives in your hands. These are not pixels, they are not something on a sensor, these are actual factual things that you can touch. And also, they just feel different. They feel more real in a way. And in contrast to what I used to believe, they can still be very clean and neat. But they're not too neat. They're not too perfect. I find that digital can sometimes feel fake, too polished, and even a little bit soulless. Whereas there is definitely a soul in photos that you take on film. It's a difficult thing to explain logically, so I suggest you try it for yourself. Dag meisje. Dag kleintje. Kom jij erbij? Kom jij erbij? Ask anybody that shoots film why they do it and they will almost always answer that they love the process of shooting film because it forces them to slow down. Like this little one does with me. With digital, you can take a photo with a click of a button, see it on the screen right after, put it on your phone or computer within minutes, edit it and have a finished product in a very short amount of time. This is convenient. But when you're shooting film, it forces you to actually think about what you are doing, as every photo costs money and there are only so many exposures on a roll of film. Is this shot worth taking? Is the ISO of the film roll that I put in this camera appropriate for what I'm trying to photograph? And depending on the camera, there are other questions. Have I measured the light? Have I adjusted my aperture and my shutter speed? Have I cocked the shutter? Did I advance the film after taking the previous shot? For a beginner, this can all be very overwhelming, but if you are truly interested in photography, there is no better way to learn all these things than to shoot film. It makes you more conscious of what you're actually trying to create, and it makes you want to get the shot right the first time, instead of using the spray and pray technique that digital often entices us to use. Now, I should warn you, if you do not want to suffer from GAS, that is gear acquisition syndrome, then maybe you shouldn't start shooting film. There are so many different kinds of cameras, and since they all have their own unique quirks and characteristics, it's hard to not at least want one of each kind. Or maybe you just want one, but you want that exact one that speaks to you the most. And since there are so many, there is probably one out there that feels like it was made just for you. I know I said that shooting film can be overwhelming, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. There are film cameras that basically do all the work for you. These cameras are called point and shoots, and they are usually small and you can just put them in your pocket and take them out whenever you feel like taking a photo. I myself love having more control over my photos, so I don't really use these much, but I do have this one, the Olympus Pen EE3, and it's actually a bit of a special one since it's a half frame. That means it has a vertical viewfinder and it uses half of the frame of a regular 35mm camera. So basically you can get 72 photos out of this camera with a 36 exposure roll. I don't use this one often, but I must tell you, it's really fun to shoot with. If you're interested in a bit more control, you can go for a 35mm rangefinder or SLR. These can be manual or electronic or a mix of both. And do you like regular viewfinders? Or would you maybe like to try out a waist level viewfinder? And then I have not yet talked about my favorite film cameras, that is the ones that shoot medium format. This means that they take a different kind of film roll called 120, which gives you big negatives. These cameras as well come in many forms, such as folders, twin lens reflexes, rangefinders, single lens reflexes. I am not going to get into all the different kinds of film cameras, but the point is there are a lot of them and they are all unique. They have their own sounds and their own way of loading the film, and I also think that the ASMR part of shooting film cannot and should not be denied. I mean, can you resist these shutter sounds? The point is, to pinpoint what you are looking for in a camera is that you have to look inside and figure out what is important to you. What is your ideal camera? Or more likely, which cameras reflect you best in which situations? So you know all those filters that you use on your digital photos? Well, they are often based on actual film emulations. That means that certain film rolls will give you a certain look. There is no need to go into Lightroom to give your photos that look, they will immediately already have a certain look. If you like warm, sunny, vibrant photos, then maybe you want to try Kodak Gold. Do you prefer a soft, lower contrast black and white photo? Try HP5. Just like with cameras, there is probably a kind of film out there that is just perfect for you. And if there's not, then just try them all. Like, it is okay to date other films. You don't have to shoot just one. You can try them all and it will be fine. Nobody can stop you. Aside from maybe your wallet. So you finished your roll of film. I know what you want and you want it now. You want to see the photos. The suspense is killing you. But unless you need the photos ASAP for a professional reason, there is really no harm in a little bit of a wait. It actually gives you time to forget the photos a little bit, and it adds to the surprise when you finally see the result of all your efforts. I used to get a huge kick out of getting film back from the lab. It's a little bit like opening Christmas presents. If you've dropped your film off at a lab, you are basically done. But you could get even more hands-on by developing your own film. It might be a bit of an investment in the beginning, but developing film yourself is a lot cheaper than having a lab do it for you. Now, to be honest, I myself have yet to develop my very first roll of film. I usually have it done by this guy, even though he sometimes mistakes fixer for developer. See also this video, or somewhere. It will be somewhere here. That is just the thing. You will make mistakes, but you will also learn so much. And with film photography, there is no limit to what you can learn. There is always more. And that I personally find very exciting. So these are the reasons why I think that you should try and shoot film in this digital day and age. Have I convinced you? If yes, please let me know in the comments what you're planning on shooting. If not, thanks anyway for watching the video, and I will hopefully see you all in the next one. Bye!